friends. Today I'm here in Ubud, Bali, Indonesia, with the main man in Ubud, Bennett Brandeis.
Hello, nice to be here.
He's a great guitarist from the US, and he's been living in Bali for how long?
About 5 years.
5 years in Bali, wow. So, Bennett, how did you end up in Indonesia?
Well, I went to Berklee College of Music, and I had a great friend who was in my band actually at Berklee, who is Indonesian, and who actually is now the conductor of the Jakarta Symphony. And he had always told me, "Hey, buddy, when are you going to come to Indonesia? When are you going to come to Indonesia?" And this was probably, oh gosh, at least over 20 years ago. And so finally I said, "Man, I think I'm ready to take him up on it." I was like, "Yeah, I want to do that. I really want to do that." I had heard about some places like Borobudur, which is this 10th century Buddhist temple that was just like, just real Indiana Jones stuff, just amazing, amazing stuff. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, could I come?" At that time, you could get a VOA, a visa on arrival, for 1 month. And so I got a 1-month visa, came here in crossover between about the middle of August into September of 2018. And he said to me, "If you're going to come to Indonesia, why don't he lives in Java, in Jakarta, the capital of Java. And he said, why don't we travel through Java for a few weeks, and then you got to go to Bali. Bali's paradise." That was quote unquote. I was like, sold. You know, gotta check that out. You know, I mean, yeah, Bali has a mystique to it. And so ended up coming here and stayed with him in Jakarta, traveled through to Yogyakarta, where we saw a bunch of stuff. The Sultan's Palace. Yogyakarta is a special area of Java, which is actually run by a sultan, and it's a sultanate, you know. And so there's Borobudur, as I had mentioned, which is this ancient temple, Buddhist temple that had been eaten up by the forest and by the jungle, excuse me, and had been rediscovered. And then there's Prambanan, which is a Hindu temple. So in that area, there's a lot of really cool stuff. So we stayed a little while in Jakarta. Then I came here to Bali and stayed in Canggu for a couple days, Ubud for a couple days. There are a couple of islands right off the coast of Bali. One's called Nusa Penida, the other one's called Nusa Lembongan. And then spent a night in Sanur, which was basically like near the airport, you know, and then I flew back to Jakarta and then came back to Los Angeles. Yeah. And that was, like I said, I came back around the middle of September 2018. And one of the things that Canggu was a little bit of more of a party kind of place for me than, you know, like than I was looking for. It's on the ocean, so that was kind of nice. You know, here we are in Ubud, we're in the middle of a jungle.
Right.
So it's, you know, you have different things, you know, to deal with, but it's got a really different vibe. This is really the spiritual capital of Bali. And it's got a lot of, it's like home of the vegan thing, home of the yoga thing. There's a fair amount of woo-woo here.
Yeah, I like that. I kind of the yoga thing and the vegan thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a little bit into it. So.
Yeah, you know, and I just, when I was here, I was like, man, I would like to come back here and not experience it as a tourist. Because as a tourist, you're always doing stuff like, you know, you're going on tours. We went to all the local temples and stuff like that. The Elephant Temple, Goa Gajah, the Rock Temple, Tirta Empul, the Water Temple, things like that. And so we were running around, and I just felt like, man, I want to see what it's like to have a routine here. This is a very long answer, I imagine.
No, it's good though because it's important to realize how things fold out in one's life, a musician's life. Yeah.
Backstory.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I didn't know you until Joel Taylor actually introduced me
Yes.
and told me to call you. And
Joel's a dear friend of mine that I went to Berkeley with also.
right.
And Phil is a drummer also. Joel's a drummer, and they play together, or I think.
Yeah, we've known each other for.
Yeah. He's been playing at that club 1881 in Pasadena.
That's
I think
right,
you've been doing some of those gigs.
Yeah, he tossed me a few of those gigs.
Yeah. So I get this text from, hey man, I'm Phil, and Joel gave me a number, said, man, we got to hook up. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm at this place with all these Russian goddesses in the room. And I was like, I think I know where he is. And so I ended up dropping in on you.
Yeah.
Just do a little surprise. And we ended up hanging for a few hours. And I brought my fiance, and we hung out, and then went and had some amazing food. And
What's that place called again?
Sawa Bali.
Sawa Bali.
Yeah.
The restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been going there.
We started out at Sayuri, which is
Sayuri.
a raw food place, which I need a little char on my food, I need it's got to be cooked. I would never eat vegan food in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I'm like an In-N-Out burger guy, and they just make things taste so good. Now I'm a tempeh freak. I mean, there are like 8 or 9 or 10 different types of tempeh here that I had never even heard of.
What inspired you to make the jump, like finally to stay here for good?
I had come here in January of 2019 to pick up on my original story, to try to see what it was be like to live here and have a routine. And my original goal was I had a 6-month visa. And my original goal was to stay here for 3-4 months, just check it out, and then go back. And due to a series of events that happened during that time,
Pandemic.
no, some personal events.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I ended up just letting my airplane ticket home lapse.
Wow.
And just was like, I guess, how would you put it? Like, the universe just kind of kicked my butt and just pushed me out of my comfort zone and said, and it just felt right. Yeah. So I ended up just deciding to what wasn't a great situation was make the best of it and live here and see how it was. One of the things that I think is very interesting, and I know you have the same experience, is being a world traveler. For me, I lived in Japan, I lived in Brazil, I lived in some other parts of the world where I had been out of America enough to know that there's some really cool things out there, but you gotta get out of your comfort zone and you gotta leap a little bit. Having been here, the leap was easier because I kind of knew what to expect.
Right.
And so that made all the difference. And I think we really grow just tremendously and change too.
Totally.
I would say, I don't know how to put this, but it took me about a year to walk off America.
Right.
I came here all angst out, and then people I met here were like, okay, this guy's a newbie. We'll let him calm down for a couple months, and then once they realized I was hanging out, then I started to get a sense of community. Yeah.
And do you have any connections with the music scene in the States anymore? You're still doing stuff, right?
Yes, I do. I own a record label, and so I have about 7 CDs of my own out, of my original, under my name. My recorded name is my stage name, whatever you want to call it. Is Bennett B. And so I had some good success, some Billboard charting stuff, and won a 5-time ASCAP award, blah, blah, blah. You know, but like enough to have still a foothold in what's going on in America. And I just released a single maybe about a week ago that's doing quite well. That's nice. When I went to Brazil, I had studied Brazilian language, I'd studied Brazilian music, I'd really gotten into it, but it's not till you're there drinking the water.
Yeah, yeah.
That, you know, and I find like I'm drinking the water and I'm like,
Right.
and I'm like, what the hell? You know, like
Happens.
this is, it's just sort of be in the environment really gives you the insight into what's going on.
Totally. And do you miss ever playing with the cats? You know, do you miss
Oh,
playing?
I miss that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do.
It's hard to get that out of your blood, isn't it?
It is. I was spoiled. The level of musicianship in Los Angeles is quite high.
Yeah.
And I had worked with some amazing people.
Right. How do you deal with that? I mean, is there anything that you did to like kind of deal with it? How do you, on a daily basis, like how do you deal with it? I know for me, it's kind of like, oh, I gotta really focus in on what I'm doing, or else I get distracted with the beach or whatever it is.
Right. Well, for the first year when I came here, all I did was hang out at a coffee house every day. Okay, and that was my decompression phase. Right. And then COVID hit, and I produce and mix music, and master. So like that, the lockdown really gave me a chance to take advantage of that time and really focus on my writing and my mixing and getting into all kinds of stuff at that time. But like to answer your question, everywhere you go, whenever you move somewhere, there's a trade-off.
Yeah.
You know, so for the how can I put it? For the rush and hustle and bustle and fighting traffic in Los Angeles and running from gig to gig and, you know, doing stuff like that, I found myself completely free of all that. And I was able to actually create my own curriculum.
Yeah.
And so, but I can't do nothing. That's just gonna,
Yeah, sure.
I think you just wither on the vine.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
So I came here and I kind of tried to incorporate into the jazz community here. And so I dabbled a little in that. I ended up doing some sound healing with a yoga teacher at Yoga Barn. And that was really eye-opening.
Wow.
I'm sitting on the floor with 60 people in doing yoga, and I'm right there with them, you know, and I'm improvising. I'm tuning into the moment. I have no prepared musical material, you know, and that was really, I guess as an improviser, as a jazz musician, that's not a big leap. The only leap is the vocabulary of the music.
I was just about to ask you that because playing like jazz changes or whatever, it's something. I mean, it's a vibrational difference between what people are used to if they do yoga or something. Jazz
No
could be-
altered dominant chords.
No altered
You know,
Right.
no, you know, you could sneak something in a little bit if you're
Be
cheeky
careful.
about it. But pretty much, you know, it was like I kind of tuned into what they were doing, and what I was working with at that time was yin yoga, and a lot of it was really about, if we're talking about one thing like the chakra system, the heart chakra, and so a lot of the stuff I was doing was very major based. I could sneak in minor chords. Minor 9 chords sound beautiful.
Right,
You
sure.
know, sometimes minor 6/9 chords, things like that, just to add a little bit of motion and move around the. And it was really interesting because people would come up to me after class going, "What are you doing?" Well, one lady came up to me, "How are you manipulating the electromagnetic field?" That's Ubud. Okay, that's
Ubud,
Ubud.
yeah.
That's Ubud. And I kind of played dumb, and I was like, I don't know. But I think as musicians, we're all tuned into vibration,
Yeah, totally.
you
Big
know.
time.
And so I think just sitting in that room right there with those people playing calming, soothing, melodic content, the harmonic content that would complement that, and also space, when not to play.
Right.
That became really, you know, a lesson we all get from Miles Davis. you know,
Sure, sure.
Like when not to play. You know, music comes from silence,
Yeah.
and so silence is really powerful when you bring music is born of silence. So all those skills really evolved here. I had no experience in sound healing. I had heard records of, you know, people using Tibetan bowls and didgeridoos and all kinds of
Right.
kazoos and stuff like that. You know, I'm just teasing. But you know, and then I got into doing some productions. Some people found out what I was doing and asked me to work on producing and help them. Because at that point, I kind of had been here long enough to tune into what was going on. So my first project was actually producing a record of mantras. And if you had asked me 5 years ago to do that, I would have been like, I don't even know where to start.
Right,
You know, I know what a mantra is, but I think that's Om Namah Renge
Right.
Kyo, you know, stuff like that. But no, these were real deep, the Ganesha mantra about removing obstacles and just things like that. And so I had to do a lot of homework, and which was really good. So kind of to answer your question, the trade-off was going from playing with high-level jazz musicians to expanding my skill set is really the way I want to look at it, you know. And then as well as doing production for people, I mix. And people will come to me and say, "Hey, man, wow, we really like what you're doing, and you know, we've got this project. Can you mix it for us?" And so I do that stuff.
Do you have a setup at your pad now?
Yeah, I do. It's my neighbors may not be as thrilled about it as I am, but
They never are.
but I try to be respectful, and you know, I live in a space where, you know, we got a crying baby upstairs.
Oh,
You know, we got this
fair.
and that. You know, so it's like we all got to get along.
Right.
And so I try to time my stuff and work. You know, I try not to work late at night, or if I do, it's with headphones.
Right.
You know, I mean, I do have that disease of waking up at 2 a.m. going, God, should I double that string line? Do I have enough compression on there? Is that reverb too thick? What is it? You know, and so it's like, and that will eat at me, and I'll get up. I'm a little better at that now.
Perfect.
See, this is what I need.
This is.
You know,
I think this one looked great on you.
when I'm in the witness protection program, this is where I come. This is my store. This is called salak,
Yeah.
which is snake fruit,
Snake fruit, I love it.
mangosteen, rambutan, dragon fruit, and this is pisang susu.
Yeah.
Susu means milk. These are milk bananas.
Oh, really? Hi.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So when I first came here, being on the kind of visa I'm on, I was able to do a concert that was 3 hours in the middle of the Java Sea, north of Jakarta. And this was just really an amazing experience. Got there, the harbor in Jakarta is called Ancol. And so got there, they wanted me there at 7 a.m. So I'm there, and we ended up on a slow boat, like a big wooden boat that's rocking back and forth, you know, and they're serving coffee and everybody's partying. And I'm the only, here, a person that's not from here is called a boule. which I believe is a bastardization of the word blue eyes.
Oh, okay.
So Boule, I'm the only Boule on the boat, you know, and man, I think they're all kind of checking me out because I'm hanging, you know, I'm not like, you know, an entitled guy complaining and doing all this. So I'm just like, okay, where are we going? I'm like, this is adventure time for me,
Totally,
you know.
yeah.
So I played a couple nights there, ended up judging a contest of musicians, and hooked up with a lot of musicians, and a lot of them are now in Yogyakarta, and I really look forward to seeing. I really look forward to reconnecting with those guys. They were great, and they made me feel so at home. It's one of those gigs where you show up, you have no rehearsal, you have a 20-minute meeting, and it's like, hey man, let's play this tune. All right, how are we gonna end it? You know, like this? Okay, do like that? Okay, boom. And you leave room for stuff to happen. You know, so no rehearsals. Played for maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people in the middle of a it was called the Seribu Islands. Pulau means island. Tidum is the name of the island I was on.
Wow.
And that was really great. And
How are you doing with the language?
Sama sudah nih ada jam. Hello.
Hello.
Ya, painting okay. Good price ya. Terus customer.
saya lihat ya.
Sarihat.
Bagus.
Sarihat, just looking.
Saya lihat. I look.
Sarihat.
Saya
Saya.
me.
Me.
Lihat means to look.
Oh,
Like I'm looking.
oh, very good. Saya nihat.
Oh.
Oh, nice. You'll get arrested.
It's getting better and better. Having an Indonesian fiance
Oh, yeah.
makes she as much as and she speaks great English, or we probably would not have a relationship.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
So, like my Indonesian is, I would say, C plus maybe if I'm really generous.
C plus, that's good.
You know, but we're in Bali, and they speak Bahasa Balinese, and that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But all the islands speak Bahasa Indonesian, so I thought it was important to at least get the core. Please, every country I go to, the first things you want to learn is "Excuse me," "I'm sorry," "Thank you," and you know, like try not to get into trouble.
Right.
You know, just so and then you know, it just expand out from there. I haven't studied or anything, but in Java, one thing I noticed is a lot of people, they don't speak English.
Really?
So, and I had the strangest experience that probably most people have that are foreigners there is everybody wants to take a picture with you.
Oh, yeah.
And so like you say, okay, yeah, sure, you know, like, why, of course, you know, and then 30 people want to take a picture with you. And it's like, I don't feel like, oh, who am I, like a movie star or something? You know,
Right,
it's
right,
like, but you know, it's just, to me, it's just cultural sharing.
Yeah.
And it was a gas. But here, it's such a tourist place that most people speak a fair amount of English, at least a couple words. And if you can speak a little Indonesian and they see you're trying, that really goes a long way.
Right,
I mean, what cracks me up is like I use my 5 words that I would know, and then they're like, "Oh, you speak so good," and it's like, brrr, and you know, right back at me, and I'm like, "Oh, oh, my quarter ran out on my Indonesian a long time ago." I just give them a look, and then it turns into body language or
Sure.
international language.
Totally.
And the last thing I would like to share with you is not really music related, but there's a thing here. They say that the Balinese people believe in the unseen world more than the seen world.
Yeah.
And that really kind of tripped me out.
Yeah, that's
And I stayed at a villa where the villa manager is a Balinese priest. And I got to know him really well, and he would teach me all these levels of heaven and things in the Balinese beliefs and stuff. And we went to do this thing called Melukat. And Melukat is a cleansing ceremony where you remove all your negativity. And it's usually involving water. So you go to either that water temple I had mentioned earlier. I went to a place called Tirta Sudamala. Some people do it at the beach or waterfalls. And we as human beings, this is a Balinese belief, all gather negativity through just our day-to-day experience, through our ancestry, through various things. And every 6 months or so, it's important to cleanse yourself and remove that. And they're very strict about certain things. Women who are menstruating can't go.
Right, I saw that.
When you're in the water, you definitely don't want to pee in the water. That's creating more what they call mala, which is the negativity and the dirt and stuff like that. And so like about 5-6 times I've done Melukat with a friend of mine, this Balinese priest. And that has brought me closer to Bali than I think anything else. Being invited into a Balinese compound with a Balinese family is such an honor.
Yeah, totally.
And that I just wanted to mention that. Here you'll see they have these little chanang sari, which is like, it's about the size of an ashtray made out of palm leaves with little flowers. And it'll have an incense stick, and when the incense stick is lit, it's activated. And you don't want to really kick it or run over it or step on it. You got to be careful for that. That's disrespectful.
Right.
So you got to be careful. You see here how there's black and white wrapped around trees, usually a banyan tree. This is the balance of good and evil, and how they must be always kept in balance and checked.
Oh, cool.
I don't want to use the word evil, negative.
Yeah, right.
Dark and light.
Dark and light.
Yeah. So if you see here, see all the offerings?
Yeah.
And see how these are lit? These are activated.
All right.
And so they've come here several times a day. This is a temple. This is actually a temple.
It's a mini temple, yeah?
Yeah. And most homes have something that looks just like this.
Right.
And that's
cool. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
And you see here, there's little candy offerings for the gods.
Oh, yeah.
You know, sometimes a squirrel or something might come and grab that, which is okay.
Yeah.
They'll have 4 different colors of flowers, usually denoting different directions.
Cool.
And then they sprinkle it with holy water, gotten from a holy well.
Oh, yeah,
or sacred water site.
Awesome.
Like in India, the Ganges.
Yeah.
Bali has something very similar. And they do that 2-3 times a day here. And that's to basically bless and protect.
Right.
And they do it at points of energy entrance. So in a driveway, in a hallway, where energy travels through, you know. And every home has a temple, right? And every day, usually, they will come and perform blessing ceremony. You get a new car or a scooter, they'll bless your scooter.
Yeah, that's in India they do that as well. They'll put flowers on it. It's
Yeah.
super interesting.
Yeah, so it's like there's a real respect here and an empathy for human life that I getting back to kind of what you asked me earlier about what it's like to be here. You know, the empathy for human life is really amazing. In Los Angeles, I would have this experience of like, if I'm on the freeway and I want to change lanes, don't signal, because if you signal, the guy next to you is going to speed up and take your space, right? It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and here, it's not uncommon to drive on the wrong side of the street to get around a car, and on a scooter we kind of bob and weave through traffic.
Yeah.
and people move over and make room
Yeah,
for you.
totally.
You make room for them. You see some guy coming your way. He's right in your line of sight. You know, you move over a little bit, man. You know, give him, and so there's a respect for life here that I really, all the anxiety, aggression, and things that I had taken for granted as a way of life in America don't really exist here.
Yeah.
And that is something that is, gosh, almost priceless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
You find your shoulders just go, oh,
Totally.
whoa. So, I'd like to ask you, my question is, so you tell me about your Balinese experience. You came here, today's 22nd?
Today's I think so.
I believe we're doing this on January 22nd, 2024. And you came here on the 10th, and you've told me you were here once before.
Yes.
How have your Balinese experiences shaped your view of Bali?
Well, to be honest, I came here as a photographer, not as a musician. So my experience of it is more of as from an observer point of view, and I really, you know, last time I was here, I had the kind of the issue where I didn't want to interfere with anything. I wanted to photograph it as it really was without any prejudice or me inflicting my point of view on it. So I kind of like stayed separate from the culture and everything, and and to the sacrifice of the things that you talked about, because I really didn't get to experience that on a deep level. I mean, it might superficially.
You will.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, definitely. This time I want to get into it a little more. But you know, photography is weird that way. Every art form has its thing, you know. So if I
Makes sense.
I wanted it to be as pure as possible without my, let's say, westernized point of view inflicting on the photography. So it's a weird balance, yeah. But I loved it. I mean, I loved it the first time. I love it now. I mean, you know, I think we're both travel addicts, so that helps, right?
Yeah. Once you get out, you realize that there's so much out there to see that it's really. And I can't say that Bali will be my final place to live. You know, there's so much. Being on this part of the world, you know, you've got the whole of Southeast Asia, you've got Australia, you've got New Zealand, which I would just love to see. So
Right.
it's very tempting.
Man, I'm so glad you were able to do this interview, buddy. It's an honor to have you on the channel with us, and I hope we get to do some playing.
Yeah,
That'd be so great.
yeah. I would love to do that.
Awesome, man.
I checked out some of your stuff, man. You sound great.
Oh, thanks.
It would be an honor to play with you.
Thank you, my man. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Beautiful cat, man. Bennett, I'm so glad you were able to do this. And yeah, so stay tuned, and hopefully we'll be doing some playing together, and I'll shoot that too.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. Right on, my man. Peace.